Alauneari sort of steps a little forward, bows slightly to this being. She's very sincere in that bow. Usually she's sort of, doing it a little mockingly, but this time, she's a little overwhelmed actually by this whole thing. This is not the tribal village she expected at all. So she bows and she's sincere when she says, "As we know, great alchemist, our people have a bad reputation. However, our race is not uniform in their views or their actions."
The alchemist seems to consider this. That is somewhat surprising to me, female drow. My interactions with your people has usually been quite hateful.
She nods and says, "We know our kind, and their general hate is also why we have come." He bows. "We have not sought your city, especially compared to the rest of the fungal jungle, for we are but newcomers here, and we're lucky to arrive at a time when Miku here," she gestures, "needed our help. We were but in the right place at the right time, and of course we helped all we could."
Yes, he has told me that you saved his life, and that he has sworn a life debt to you. That is not, he sort of glances over at Miku, something that I would have advised, but the deed is done, and he must honor it. Sort of glances over to Miku again, and then back to you.
The alchemist says, "We do not know what such a debt entails, for it is not something that our people do. And as I said, we are but newcomers in this land. You asked for our motives in coming here, however, and they are very simple. There is an enemy to the Upper Asathere." He sort of gives it a little pause to see if he sort of reacts in a way that would say that he knows what that means.
He doesn't really react. He just,
All
stares
right.
down at her.
"That enemy is an enemy of ours, and an enemy of yours, although you may not know it yet. We have come here because we cannot defeat that enemy alone, and we would seek allies in here who will aid us, and we will aid them in defeating this enemy."
The alchemist looks down at Alauneari. I see. You wish then to rouse the soldiers of the city of Xan and throw them against the walls of Vothos, no doubt, in some attempt to have us fight your wars. I think not, Drow.
She looks at the alchemist and says, "I do not presume so much. We have just arrived. I do not know if your people do war. I do not know if your people do, well, I do not know what they do." She gestures around, "but I see that they do it admirably, in such grandeur that I had never imagined." Seems genuine. "Such power I feel in this place, such capability, such potential. Even if you will not help us in this," and I'm sure that in time this problem will come here to your doorstep. Then we will try to find others who will aid us, others with whom we can have positive and peaceful interactions, learn, trade, aid each other in whatever we might need." I know that these words must sound hollow as they come from one of our kind, but I beg you, listen to them and hear them from me rather than from my race.
The alchemist seems to consider this. That has always been your problem, Drow, looking down upon others, not accepting or even thinking that they could construct marvels of civilization, thinking that you are the rightful rulers of all that you survey. And in my experience, your people tend to survey much from their lofty perches of citadels, towers, and arcane chambers.
Frowned. This is, have no illusion. That is what most of our people think. However, such a perception can change if such change is warranted, and your people do seem to have power and ability much greater than that I have ever seen in my entire life. Would you not relish in the ability that with your creations you can change the perceptions of your own people in the eyes of even one of us who through our entire life have been taught that we are superior to all? Changing the nature of one such as us and finding one whose nature can be changed, is that not worth relishing?
Seems to consider. Perhaps it all comes down to the matter of cost, of course. I shall not deceive you, Drow. I am not about to send my people into war at your behest. You told of a danger and a common enemy, but I have yet to see exactly what this enemy is and why it should threaten us.
She nods. She says, there is the current Lady of Vothis, one with long-reaching connections. She has ambitions far beyond her stature. She will seek to expand into the fungal jungle, and we came here with the intention of finding allies that would aid us in stopping her ambition. She seems, for our own reasons, and of course to aid whoever else is here. She sort of seems to think, you might think that our reasons are nefarious, but I will tell you the truth of them, and that is that we wish to go home. We have been sent away, and Vothis is standing between us and our homeland. So that's to think. A little sentimental here, she thinks back. I see, however, now that your people might not feel threatened by anything. Truly, you must be the masters of this entire jungle, and you would not in any way need outsiders to aid you.
Alchemist looks down at her. The Xan do not build empires, Drow. We'll try to live in peace and seclusion. But your kind, your war bands, the Skizral, and the other abominations of the caverns have us uneasy.
She nods, and she looks at Alchemist and says, yes, we have heard of the Skizral and their actions. We've also heard, however, that you have a treaty, that they are not your enemies. Such a treaty is beneficial, yes? You wish to live in peace. Do you think there is nothing you could learn from us?
The alchemist seems to consider, we do not have a treaty with the Skizral. We have slain enough of them that they keep away from our domains. Make no mistake, Drow, we are still at He seems to consider not at war, more like a stalemate with the spider people. They, as long as they do not advance upon our domains, we have no reason to vanquish them.
She nods.
But we
That
have
seems-
lost many to them. And we have lost many to your people as well. Your attempts at arcane and your attempts at alchemical research seems to prompt a ready supply of our people. To what extent and purpose, I shudder at the thought.
She bows deeply and nods. Says, "I am sorry for any losses you have had in such affairs, and I can assure you that if we were to be aided by your people, any such attempts would be stopped at the doorstep. No more the Zan would need to." She sort of seems to trying to find a word. Perish to such foolishness, such greed. That is something we can offer you. We have no interest in fighting something, she looks around and generally speaks, this beautiful, this exotic, this intriguing. She seems to look at it. This is worth, I think, more than anything. Sort of stops herself. However, life is worth even more. Life of my people and the life of yours.
The alchemist does that. This, emits a rumbling sound, the sound of like a cave-in or something, and you're pretty sure he's laughing. That is words I thought I would never hear from a drow. That life is worth the something. Ah! He makes a ponderous motion with his arms. Oh, that is the most humorous thing I have heard in over a decade, I think.
Rilinid will edge up a bit here, actually lifting the mask. Alauneari, may I?
She looks at him and she doesn't seem to. She's not sure about this, but she gives him a look and steps back, allowing him to speak.
Rilinid actually will fully remove the mask and hold it in his hand. Alchemist, look, certainly being such as wise as yourself, will understand that flowery words, and really you could see through any of my lies. I'm going to be honest with you. Our words will not speak as well as our actions will, and to that end we will be here within this jungle, as unfamiliar and hostile as it is to us. We don't have any interest in being here beyond that. I certainly don't have any designs after my war with Lady Satha is done and I descend into the depths of the Azosphere to return here, nor would I recommend anyone else to come here. Quite frankly, you can have it, the Skisral can have it, and anyone who wishes here can live it. Our actions in attempting to help you and understand those we seek to befriend will hopefully speak for themselves. Of course, you, and sort of gesturing there towards Miku, you might see, of course, that but a simple act of kindness towards Miku would be but a blip compared to commanding mighty armies. That's all fine and well. But we will linger here, and we will learn about you and about everything else. Whether you permit it or not, now, of course, you could kill us or send us away, but that will not change our desires or the designs in our heart. or whether you choose to see them as evil, or whether you let this humorous string play out to see to what depths we will go in our desperation to try to woo you, that is up to you.
The alchemist thinks. And he says, "You said yourself, and you have already said so before, that your actions perhaps shall speak louder than your words." He nods. "Very well then, so be it. If you can show us that you are no threat to the city of Dexan, that you wish coexistence with its people, then we shall give you the same measure of respect in return." He nods. "We shall treat you, Drow, as you treat our people. That seems like a fair deal, yes?" He moves his large hand.
To that end, then, we are actually interested in learning more about this jungle. While we understand that the Skithral themselves and you have considerable difficulty, there must be something else that your people have an eye on. We have heard tales of ancient ruins existing within this jungle, and there must be something which interests you after all of the centuries that have passed.
The alchemist seems to consider. "Yes, there is something, perhaps. As you said, the jungle is ancient. It has existed for a very long time, and there are many strange ruins within it." He seems to consider. Yes, I do believe. He nods. Basically, he seems to be talking to himself almost. He says, "Very well then, I shall tell you of the Isle of the Seven Horns. It is located in the lake of the Violet Mists. You have no doubt seen it on your maps, or perhaps with your own eyes if you have traveled through the jungle. In the middle of the Sea of Violet Mists is the aforementioned Isle of the Seven Horns. Upon that isle, centuries, millennia ago, a great kingdom prospered. It was a kingdom of the deep gnomes. Now it is lost, but some of its relics remain on that island. Particularly, seems to consider, a strange invention that I have long wished to study. But my people have no way of reaching the isles. We cannot traverse the Violet Mist. It is quite dangerous. If you, motions to you, somehow could get to the Isle of the Seven Horns and locate this device for me, that would indeed be a service of great importance for the citizens and the city of Dexan." He makes a motion, and see one of the Mechaloids who stand next to him moves closer. This is the sage, he motions. He will provide you with a description of the device. The sage seems to nod and move closer. He is, picking all over his many pouches and bags, and he seems to fish around for something.
Rilinid actually gives like genuine curiosity, knowledge, invention. Huh. Like this intellectual side is definitely intrigued by this.
Yes. The sage, as he is apparently called, produces a drawing, like a schematic almost, but it is very crude. It's more a drawing, not really a schematic, but it's a drawing that seems to depict some sort of. Well, you're not really sure what it is. You can make an engineering check.
All right, I will go ahead and do that.
We all make one if you know it?
Yeah, if you have it trained, yes.
Well.
25. Fuck you.
Oh, wow. That is a good roll.
8 for +2.
Rilinid has indeed seen something like this in some very old book, like a treatise of some, drow wizard or something who wrote it like ages ago, describing that yes, the gnomes apparently in ancient times possessed a quite vast and powerful empire down here, and they produced many wonders of gnomish engineering. This particular thing that this shows is what seems to be something called a observatory, a telescope.
In that case,
judging by the size, it's possibly quite immense and heavy.
Yes, Rilinid sort of quirks and said,
Yes, I have read of this. The ancient empires Virfneblin that existed so long ago crafted many sort of engineering wonders that the deep gnomes who are so industrious tend to do. One of them ends up being is that a telescope?
The alchemist, nods. You surprise me with your knowledge. Indeed, it is a gnomish invention known as a telescope. We know little about it. Few of the drawings and knowledges escaped the fall of the gnomish kingdom. But this is something we wish to study in great detail. And this, the sage hands over the paper drawing of it, and then takes a step back.
Rilinid takes it and says,
After all these years, it is probably in a poor condition. Hopefully the deep gnomes have left the materials there to either repair it or restore it meaningfully.
That is our hope as well. The city of Vorstenstad, which was the one capital of the Deep Gnome Kingdom, was situated on that island as well. Of what calamity that befell it exactly, I cannot say. But hopefully, this relic has survived.
I am familiar with the creations of the deep gnomes as well as their language. Certainly, if there will be any who could see to such a device and repair it and perhaps return it to you, although given its immensity, it would be quite a transport. It would be, certainly, if for no other reason than my own selfish interest in seeing such a thing.
The alchemist nods. Excellent. Then it seems that we have an accord of sorts.
By your leave, Alchemist, I would request permittance to, by chance, stay within the city of the Zan for longer to learn more about you. You might understand, given my race's xenophobic proclivities, that we have little information about the Zan other than
A pause and then, like a regrettable expression,
other than what's been researched in autopsies for alchemical reagents. It would do well for at least I to learn more of your culture and knowledge, if for no other reason than to tell my brethren that you're actually more than reagents to be harvested. Again, you may take that for what you will, but hopefully my attentiveness and inability to fall asleep despite the most archaic bit of history would prove my sincerity in the matter.
The alchemist considers, and then he slowly nods. Very well, that seems to be a reasonable request. I will grant you access to some of the city. You are free to visit the laboratories of the College of Dreams. He motions towards the sage. Anything you wish to know about our people or wish to ask, you can ask of the sage. He will do his best to answer, within limits, of course. In return, then, I ask that you answer any questions the sage might have for you. An exchange of information, as it were.
That seems reasonable, although, of course, if the sage shall withhold information about you, sensitive information, of course, you would have no interest in ever revealing to us, for we are us, then we shall, naturally, as I'm sure you expect, hide information of our own, out of our own xenophobic fear.
The alchemist nods. Yes, suspicion and fear is something that we must work through if this coexistence is to take root and sprout. He seems to nod.
One other thing I would ask of you is if you could pinpoint us as best as you could to the location of the Skisral. We would wish to converse with them ourselves the same as we have with you, and if we find them wanting in some fashion, if they do not regard us with at least a
sort of shrugs.
I don't know, I really can't say respect. They should have their own suspicions. If they treat us with hostility, then perhaps we could assist you with that problem as well. If you are a peaceful people, then I can imagine you would enjoy the day when you could return to peace instead of being at a stalemate.
The alchemist nods. Taking care of the Skisral problem would indeed be of great use to the city of Xan. If you could somehow do this, yes, he nods, that would go a long way to show your intentions towards us. Yeah, he nods again. Very well, I shall point you to the direction of the Skisral caverns. I shall also provide with you an important bit of information regarding them.
Rilinid's eyes will light up.
It seems that the matron of the Skisral people, called the White Spider, quite the powerful entity she is, but she has a weakness. He almost smiles behind, the many folds of like mold and, growings on his face. Because she has recently given birth to the largest egg sac the Skithral people has seen in decades. Literally, her people's entire future currently resides within that village. If that future were to be threatened in some way, that could give you powerful leverage upon the White Spider.